Hello. The community health issue that I chose to pursue was about a neighborhood that is relatively close to me, 15 to 20 minutes around there. It's located in Kensington, Philadelphia, and we're going to be learning today more about the opioid crisis or opioid epidemic that is occurring there right now. Let's get started. Kensington, Philadelphia, PA. Kensington is a profoundly dangerous neighborhood located in Philadelphia, PA. Kensington is widely known for the excessive drug abuse as well as the immense supply of hard drugs located in the neighborhood. The city's Department of Health estimates 75,000 of residents are addicted to heroin or opioids in Philadelphia, PA. And on your left is just basically a map of Kensington and just showing you the borders and where in Philadelphia it's located. Here's a bit more insight about what Kensington's community looks like. Kensington is located in the lower northeast section of Philadelphia and North Philadelphia. Kensington is known for the Irish American Organized Crime Association, known for the distribution of hard drugs in the 1980s. Kensington is remotely a medium-sized community, and Kensington does have educational institutes located in it, some of them being Kensington High School Complex, Jules E. Mastbaum Vocational Technical High School, Russell Conwell Middle Magnet School, and John H. Webster Elementary School. But also consider that not many children are enrolled in these institutions due to how dangerous the neighborhood is. This is an excerpt from the New York Times article called Trapped by the Walmart of Heroin by Jennifer Percy. In the New York Times article, Percy mentions a man named Mark. Mark shortly became addicted to oxycodone post-deployment. He was on his way to South Carolina in hopes of becoming clean from opioids there. However, he needed just enough drugs to make it through the rough 7-hour car drive from Philly to South Carolina. He does some research on areas around that are highly populated with opioids and stumbles across Kensington, Philadelphia, which at the time he didn't know much about. The quote is what he describes Kensington actually being like. The quote says, "Missing person posters hung from storefront windows. The dealers were all out in the open, calling out brand names, even handing out free samples. More people smoked crack and meth or injected heroin. They stuck needles in their arms, necks, and skin between toes. They were limp and nodding off. Some people lay on the ground looking dead." The community health issue in Kensington, PA is the opioid abuse. Opioids are addictive drugs that include everything from heroin to fentanyl to prescription pills, like morphine, oxycodone, hydrocodone, and codeine. Philadelphia County has the highest overdose rate of any of the 10 most populous counties in America. Death tolls in Kensington increased in the past year by 95% due to the direct relationship to fentanyl. This community health issue is not controlled, and it becomes increasingly more dangerous every day as we turn a blind eye to it. Discussion question to consider is, if the community issue seems so severe, why do you think that Philadelphia County has overlooked it for so long? Statistics and facts regarding the opioid crisis. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, Philadelphia's rates of overdose have skyrocketed, tripling the city's number of homicide deaths, as well as exceeding the peak number of deaths from AIDS in 1994. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, this year's death count from opioid use looks similar to what it totaled up to in 2018, when it was a death toll of 1,116 people. In the past 3 years, more than 3,000 people have died because of an opioid or heroin addiction. Issues and result of the opioid epidemic in Kensington. Areas in which opioid addiction are popular in Kensington, drug dealers also lurk around corners and alleyways. According to the New York Times, the dealers are just out in the open, walking among us. These dangerous dealers intimidate the police force for their own territory by threatening police officers. The drug and opioid use are interdependent to the alarmingly high rates of shootings and murders in the city, meaning drug use promotes and induces crime and violence. What is currently being done to make a change? According to the Addiction Center, generally, Philadelphia's healthcare system has evolved in a sense of becoming more equipped and educated on how to treat individuals struggling with these opioid addictions. The New York Times mentions that progressive Mayor Jim Kenney focused primarily on getting individuals into rehabilitation faculties rather than just arresting the users of these drugs. Jim Kenney's first course of action was to clear Kensington's railroad tracks, considering that was a frequent spot for thousands of individuals to go shoot up heroin, and it was called the Hidden Hellscape. Jim Kenney even told the Philadelphia Inquirer, "It is not an easy issue. It is going to take many years and a ton of money, so that maybe have been why it hasn't been addressed in the past, but that's no excuse." A discussion question to think about is, what is your opinion on Jim Kenney's quote in the Philadelphia Inquirer, and what does it say about past motivation to control this opioid crisis? And what's being done to make a change continued? According to the Addiction Center, the city is redoubling its effort through policies and support programs, meaning their once strict policies of receiving treatment are being more relaxed, and the support programs really entail drug support programs and opioid abuse support programs. Jefferson Health has made their once strict policies around accessing treatment way more relaxed and accessible for individuals struggling with an addiction to access. Temple University has also taken the measure to increase its prescription for buprenorphine, a drug that diminishes opioid addiction.
How did I wind up here? I'm a junkie.
Philadelphia County suffers one of the highest rates of drug overdoses in the country.
You got an unconscious now. Open your eyes up.
The neighborhood of Kensington is ground zero.
The destitute in this neighborhood is just extreme.
This is Armageddon. This is complete chaos.
Now, in a 6-part event, interventionists step in.
We're here to break the chains of addiction in your family. Can you do that?
Janine and her father became best friends through heroin.
It's tormenting to watch them kill themselves.
Tomorrow we're going to be at Nicole's intervention. Are you going to have alcohol in your system then?
This August, the Emmy-winning series returns
I want us all to start getting better.
with its most dramatic recovery yet.
I'm gonna have my sister back. I know it. Together, we could make a difference.
Intervention, a 6-part event, begins Tuesday, August 6th at 9 on A&E.
So, for this slide, I inserted an intervention clip. This series actually came out in 2019. It's a very good reference to kind of watch and see to get a really good glimpse of what Kensington actually entails with the drug use in it and the opioid abuse. And after watching the clip, I just want you to think of a discussion question that I have here. It's, if you had to describe the appearances in Kensington from this video in 3 words, what would they be? After reflecting on what solution has already been put into place in Kensington, PA, I've thought of a solution that I feel that needs to happen. I do acknowledge that this solution requires a significant amount of money and resources that we'd either have to raise for the cause or get funding for the project. This is also referring back to earlier what Jim Kenney said in the slide. However, There are two sides to this issue that we do need to consider: taking the dealers off the streets as well as treating the individuals struggling with the addiction. Police reinforcement needs to be put into place as well as rehabilitation centers, as we will get into that. And we also need to consider that policemen also have to be supplied with proper protection gear to protect them from the harmful drug dealers on the street. So let's get into the first perspective in the solution. The first perspective to look on is the location that it's occurring in, Kensington, PA. Referring back to earlier in this presentation, it was said in the New York Times article that the dealers have intimidated police officers for their own territory, to the point of police officers turning a blind eye to most drug dealing because of how fatal it could turn with the interaction with the drug dealers. With this being said, I believe the solution that needs to happen is the city needs to supply a significant amount of police equipment to help protect police officers from the dangerous drug dealers, as well as I would also like to consider the idea of some sort of police checkpoint in the areas of Kensington that need police reinforcement, like the high populated drug dealing areas, and this could help with not only the opioid and drug distribution, but also I'm sure it would lower the crime and violence in the area. Okay, now let's focus on the second perspective in the solution. In addition to what was said in the previous slide, there is another perspective to this issue to consider. With that being said, it is the individual struggling with the opioid addiction. Really, the goal here in the second perspective is really to focus more on not arresting the people using these opioids, and rather than treating them and helping them get clean from it. A solution to this area of the issue is more rehabilitation faculties need to be put into place, especially in the locations in Kensington where opioid and drug use is very high. The rehabilitation centers need to be in reach and easily accessible to individuals with an opioid addiction, as well as it needs to be affordable for them. There is 75,000 Philadelphia residents struggling with some type of opioid addiction, and the main goal here is to help them get clean. The discussion question I would like for you guys to consider is, do you feel that there's something else that could be done in either perspectives of the solution? And if so, what would it be? Next, we're going to be talking about a little bit of prevention education. The first one that I put down was Overdose Lifeline. This targets younger teens with educating them on opioids and their harmful impact, as well as giving them information on where to turn to, what resources to turn to, and how to deal with and fight an opioid addiction. The next one that I found was heroin and opioid prevention education. It isn't subjective to any age group really, it just educates and gives helpful information to prevent individuals from becoming addicted to these dangerous drugs. As well as the last education tool that I gave you guys was you can access any information or any helpful tips at the opioid addiction hotline number. Usually though, this hotline number is just for people who are immediately struggling and are trying to reach out, but the other two first points on this slide are very good resources to look back on. And these are just my citations. Thank you guys for listening and watching the slides, and I hope that I gave you a good overview and idea of what solution needs to happen in Kensington, PA in order for this opioid epidemic to stop happening. Thanks so much.